20 saddest sex worker stories. According to Reddit. Man, this don't get me flagged by YouTube. I'm not sure what will. Number 20. That is not the right window. You want to try that again, OBS? Jesus. Not sure if this qualifies, but stripper. I worked at a restaurant. Oh, really? I worked at a restaurant before and have had a couple of really sad ones. Okay. Let's take a look. Why did it? Jesus Christ. We're near a hospital, so a lot of folks would just come by for dinner while loved ones were there. One guy came in and ordered and also asked for like ketchup packets and pepper to bring back for his wife to use on her meal. He told me that she was in the hospital to deliver a baby, but something had gone wrong and the baby had already died and she was hanging on, but it seemed like there was something bad going on there too. He didn't elaborate and I didn't ask. I ended up buying his meal for him, and then another waitress and I cried after he left. We had a guy who I think was maybe a railroad guy. We get a lot of them too, who paid for his meal and tipped and everything. And then when we got to talking, he was talking about how depressed he was and how much he wished he would die. I worked there during a really hard time in my life because, believe me, no one stays there longer than a few months if their lives are going well. So I could relate. I talked to him about antidepressants and was saying that they were really helping me and that they were, options. At the end of another hour, he offered me $20 since he'd taken up so much of my time, but I told him no. I figured he needed to know someone actually cared. They weren't just acting for money. Also, I had a guy with a little 1 to 2 year old who was acting up and screaming, and he just seemed so desperate and depressed. He said that his wife was always having some catastrophe and kept trying to kill herself, and he didn't know if he could take it, but he didn't know if he divorced her, if she would actually kill herself. Oh boy, he was in some sort of military, and I think he was in all fatigues. I think he didn't know what to do because he couldn't even be sure he could trust his wife with their daughter if he got deployed. He ended up leaving pretty soon because the little girl was having a tantrum. Motherfucker, these are pretty real for so low on this list. So here's hoping they're not so terrifying. That being said, here's hoping everybody's having a sexy day. You guys are just, you guys are good. Maybe your day was shit, but hopefully you are okay. I love you, and I want more of you, so thanks for being here. As we travel up the list, we arrive at number 19, and it reads, not mine, but I thought I would share one that I saw somewhere on the internet. There was a girl who was about 21 years old who had been in the industry for a few months and was enjoying it, and what she said felt like freedom to her. She had a very experienced variety of clients already, and she said that she felt satisfied helping those who wanted to feel loved. Okay. Men and women alike. One day, a woman in her early 40s comes in and requests the youngest girl, which happened to be her. She paid for a couple of hours and requested her to just wear casual pajamas. When she got to the woman's room, in her PJs, the woman had some Disney movie loaded up and told the girl her daughter was becoming a teen and had no interest in watching kids' movies and cuddling anymore. They spent the next 2 to 3 hours just cuddling, eating snacks, and watching Disney movies? She had stated it brought tears to her and made her leave the industry and move back home and go back to school. Thank you, Jazzy Pen. I appreciate this. I don't know why my brain is saying there and back again. A hobbit's tale. Courtney B says, Kyle, the screen is a bit cut off. And now it... Jesus, every time I do that, it snaps the whole list down. It's really pissing me off. Sorry, I think that's why I left it alone earlier, but hopefully it's it's properly spaced now. I'm also going to turn down the music so that it's not drowning me out. Oh, you guys can't hear the music at all. I'm sure somebody said that, but I didn't pay attention, to which I apologize. Jeez. That must have been gross just hearing just me. I apologize. Man. She had stated that it brought tears to her and made her leave the industry and move back home and go to school. But she wanted to be clear, being in the sex industry does not always mean it's for sex. Some people just want to cuddle or spoon. They want to satisfy something that they can't and oh God, and don't get easily. Oh boy. That is sad. You know? I don't expect to run into so many intense, sad entries, but these are pretty low and they're pretty sad, man. Number 18, not a sex worker, but I've related this sad blurb before. So she probably gets at least a participation trophy in the saddest experience category. Prostitutes of Reddit, what is the weirdest, out of the norm, non-sexual thing that you have been paid for? That's my next list. We're going to do a part 2 tomorrow. A coworker said that he paid a Craigslist hooker to dress up nice and go with him to his mother's funeral and reception afterwards because he didn't want to be given a hard time about going alone. So, you know, like an escort. Oh, but paying somebody on Craigslist, man, that's sad. Yeah, that's sad. The Craigslist part is what makes it sad. Sigan says, Kyle, help tax videos hurt, cure me. Are you considering your donation like a tax for me making these? I accept that. But you all will never, you'll never unseat King Momo, the stream boss, from his throne. You allowed him to take a seat there. And now he's going to get nice and comfortable. What a king among men. Number 17. I work as a cam girl. There are a lot of sad stories, dead wives, divorces, but the one that hit me was with a guy that we'll call Steve. Steve sends me a message during one of my public shows asking to go private. I go private with him after the show, and he just wants to talk about my life. No nudity or anything, and in privates, his cam isn't visible to me. So I sit there talking about my life about 2 hours at $5 a minute, and he doesn't say a word. I finally run out of things to say, and he is just like, thanks, can I buy your Snapchat? Of course I say yes. I give him my Snapchat, he signs off. The next week I get a Snapchat from Steve asking if we can go private again. I say sure. We do the same thing, he just wants to talk to me about my day and random life stories for 2 hours. We do this once a week for about a month before he asks to Skype. Let me fucking wait a goddamn minute. You know, forgive me for being the broke motherfucker I am, apparently, but I want to know just how much this girl is making. At $5 a minute for 2 hours?
It isn't much.
I appreciate your donation, Central Texas. And again, I encourage all of you to use Streamlabs because Superchat will take a pretty hefty cut of, you know, Prelude is already beating me to the punch down here, you know, with that link. I know some of you, you know, can't get Streamlabs to work, and I appreciate you donating it all. And I appreciate you, my man, Central Texas. But the bottom line is, Super Chat will fuck up your donation. But that being said, what is 120 times 5?
That's $600.
$600 a session? Just to talk for 2 hours.
Just to listen to this chick.
Just to talk for 2 hours, you're getting $200. What the Bing Flubian? I mean, not 200, 600. You know, we've got it all wrong, man. I should have just got big ass titties. That's what I should have done. I'm going to start value. You know, some people value their success based on the dollar amount or the materials that they own. You know, the house they sitting in, the car they got, clothes they wear, shit like that. I think it's all about how plentiful the big titties are. You know? What a world. Look, as we continue with this entry, it's bumming me out. What am I doing with my life? Okay, the next week, I get a Snapchat message from Steve again asking if we can go private. He just wants to talk to me about my day and random stories for 2 hours, and we do this once a week for a month. I agree. I still know literally nothing about this person. It's our scheduled time to Skype, and he doesn't pick up the call. I snap him to make sure everything is okay, and he says he's changed his mind. He wants to do our usual thing where I can't see him. I say, okay. This time he types to me and I respond. Basically, he gives me his life story. He tells me that he is an independent software developer. He won't say for privacy reasons, but he's in Switzerland. He's never had a girlfriend and is a virgin. He's 36 years old and has crippling social anxiety and says he hasn't spoken to a woman face to face, not even via webcam, since he graduated from college. He says that he's hideously... Well, damn, girl. I appreciate that. I appreciate you, River. And I appreciate that tree fitty in the heat of the night. Thank you. I can be your cam boy. What the fuck? He says that he's hideously ugly and felt overwhelming guilt for even looking at a woman because he felt that it was just unwanted and offensive to her. I tried to listen and be understanding. At the end of the conversation, he asked if he could turn on his cam and try to have a conversation with me. I agreed. He turned on his camera, and he's a totally average looking guy. A bit overweight, but a handsome face, nice haircut, clean looking. I was shocked and just really sad that he thought so lowly of himself. I told him that he was very handsome and that he shouldn't think so lowly of himself. And we just chatted about life for a few more hours that night before saying goodbye. The next day I get a Snapchat from Steve. He says that he felt so good about himself that he finally said hi to the front desk receptionist at work, and she said hi back and smiled. He was thrilled about this normal social interaction. We didn't video chat again, but he snapped me every time he interacted with somebody, and last I heard, he has a girlfriend. How horrifying. You know what the sad tragedy of this is? That anxiety and insecurity and a poor self-image can be everyone's kryptonite. Some people beat themselves up so fucking hard that they can't accomplish anything. They've shot themselves in the foot before the race has begun, my dude. And it's fucking pathetic. It's sad. It sucks. It's incel, dude. The incels fucking ruin their own ability to get fucking partners. And with some of them, you figure maybe they're on the spectrum. How can you be so oblivious, so lacking in situational awareness, so far removed from the state of being self-aware, dude? So incapable of picking up on social cues or reading people's body language. How can you be so ignorant socially? You know? It's not hard to shut the fuck up, you know? Sometimes you can get away with it if you just shut the fuck up, but to be so cripplingly critical of yourself that you can't get anything done, you know? Lucky this dude, he had a cam girl to talk to his ass and spice up his life until he was ready to fucking go out there and make it. Some people don't make it that far. Some people don't have the money to throw at a cam girl to boost their self-confidence. And they sure as hell aren't going to be getting the attention from the fly girls that fucking know better than to talk to anybody that ain't at the top of them lists of all of the bullshit that they want. You want to know the difference between an incel and like a hot bitch? The hot bitch can get away with just demanding any kind of bullshit, you know what I mean? You ever goes to go to the incel page and he's like,
look, I demand that a woman be this cup size and have this waist, and she needs to cook for me, and she also needs to do my nails. She needs to give me pedicures on a daily basis. Also, she must never, ever sneeze. Sneezing is against my religion that I made up, and she must also kiss me and give me chicken tendies every night.
But a girl could say some shit like that, and a legion of dudes would be like, yes, I'll do anything for that booty. You know what I mean? God damn. So I guess we all have to bow our heads and have our hearts go out to any of these people that instead of getting that little boost of ego or self-confidence or even, you know what, here's a real thing that I'm going to say, okay? Here's how reality works, okay? You end up finding somebody and settling. Maybe you aren't as crazy about them. Maybe they aren't as crazy about you, but you both like each other, and maybe that's enough to just get you guys by. So you just fuck around with each other for however long it's going to last, you know what I mean? And maybe each of you boost one another's ego enough to keep you fucking going, to just stave off you know, tying that rope into a noose one more day. You know what I'm talking about? But some people don't even have that, okay? Some people don't have someone to settle for / them settle for them. So, I don't know. I guess it's just time for us to be appreciative. Man, I'm really not trying to be so down. I think it's a good thing that we have, you know, we have our shit together in a way. At least a little bit more than these guys. I think the saddest part about this guy in the story is that, you know, again, this story could be fiction, but the bottom line is, in reality, there are people like this. And when they look in the mirror, they recognize themselves as super hideous and ugly. They don't even see that, you know, maybe they're being too hard on themselves and think that they need to change, you know? It's like, I could lose some weight, you know? And when I wake up in the morning, there's no confusion about that. I realize that it's an issue and it's something that I need to work on. But there are some people who could be that way and are delusional, and they don't, you know, they're not going to change anything because what's there to change? Hey, y'all timed out Chris Hansen for that one, but I think that's the big block, my dude. I mean, he's busy being some kind of moron. So let him live that life. Let him live that life forever. You know, pour out some drink on the ground for my man Chris Hansen in the stream chat. He had the chance to not be a cuck, but that ship has sailed. Number 16, a guy literally crying about how lonely he was. Chris Hansen. We didn't even have sex. He just wanted to hang out. He was literally nice. Oh no, he was a really nice guy, but I had to cut off contact after the one encounter because he had the idea that he was going to save me from drugs and prostitution and wife me up or something. I felt horrible. Oh God. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Number 15. I had a few clients in my hometown and neighboring city. Oh God. Just pulled the cord that's connected to my microphone. Forgive me. Is that music loud? Those dings sounded loud. Go back to the other song. Don't I have like a relaxing piano track that I usually throw on? That was for the confession podcast though. We can play it tonight. Yeah. Send me a message about your hopes and dreams. You know, send me a wish and we'll see if we can make it come true. Number 15. I had a few clients in my hometown and neighboring city. They were somewhat older, more career accomplished, women who wanted discreet companionship. Most of them just wanted to cuddle and talk or listen to music and lay with me. Some liked drugs. Almost all of them liked wine. All of them were lonely. One of my clients was constantly out at parties or business functions, very social and successful, and would contact me after. On Christmas one year, she told me that she was previously married. Her husband started her business with her before he died. She told me she lived the happiest life with him, but that it was too short. I think she was looking for a similar replacement for the husband, but nobody lived up to the guy. Relationships are hard. And then we die.
Jesus.
It's raining. It kind of like picked right up when I said that. That was kind of creepy. Ex-married ladies who lost a husband. You want a cuddle buddy? His name is CYA. Number 14. One of my favorite clients was a genuine heart of gold kind of guy. Yeah, I fixed that. He was diagnosed with MS late last year. Oh no. Both his parents died and his brother was attacking him daily for not getting any inheritance, even though he treated their parents like shit. What a scumbag. The poor guy who has just went through the ringer. I wish there was anything I could do to make him feel better, but he's kind of pulled into himself since the MS diagnosis. Another truly wonderful client of mine, sweetest man I ever knew, is living with Parkinson's. I didn't know until one day I asked him about the slight shaking. I'd always chalked it up to nerves or excitement, which is when I heard about it. The last sad one was a client that I sent to get checked for what I thought might be genital warts. His doctor did a full workup and found that he has cancer. This one, oh my god. She throwing a positive one in there, thankfully. This one might be positive. It's a slow growing cancer, so his treatment options are a bit better. It's a good thing that the hooker noticed your cancer warts early on, because it might have been bad otherwise. Yeah. Is that a phrase you thought you'd heard? Everybody, listen. Because of the thing that I just said to you that you have definitely not heard before, like this video. For real. It's a good thing that hooker noticed your cancer warts so that you could get treated early in the... Boy, what a phrase. I've had a few clients die as well. Hopefully not during. I never knew how to offer condolences or even if I'm allowed to feel as sad as I do. I get to know them in one space, which is limited in what we share, but I do miss them. As we fly through the remainder of this list, I wonder what's going on in people's minds. Emily Morningstar says, nice to actually catch you on stream, Kyle. It's nice to catch you with your top off, girl. Yep, stuff like that'll send people flying out of the stream. And that's the way I want it to stay. See, guys, the second that I get popular is the second that this channel gets shut down. This isn't the kind of candy-ass makeup tutorial bullshit that YouTube wants on its platform, and that's the bottom line. I've recently made this one video where I just read a bunch of tweets from some lady that got fired for calling consumers' names when she worked for a company. And of course it was the right thing to do. You work for a company, you represent that company when you go online and run your fucking mouth. And if consumers come at you because you talking about the company and they have something to say about the company that you don't like, what you don't need to do is roast these little motherfuckers, all right? Because you speak as a representative of that company. So naturally, when the company laid that bitch ass off, she was on Twitter going on, I'm a woman and this is unfair. Bitch, you are a fool if you thought that this is what you should get away with and then get special treatment just because of your gender. Do you know what I mean? Long story short, Kyle made a video, and in the video, maybe I put on a voice to make fun of this idiot for thinking that she wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean? But what she did was a big deal. YouTube flagged the hell out of that video, baby. What I did was respectful. What I did, was informative. You know what I mean? It wasn't like super duper opinion heavy. It wasn't me, calling people names or being rude. It was just a video where I read some tweets, my dude. And I can see it being like a little bit controversial because I don't know. I'm talking about something current. I'm talking about something newsworthy. I'm talking about something that has to do with women and SJWs, and of course that's going to hit that easily triggered crowd. But I can see y'all not blocking, but demonetizing a video and hiding it because I'm cursing or swearing, or maybe there's like, you know, sexually charged shit in there. But the bottom line was, I didn't do anything, and YouTube wanted to come down on me for that. So you know what I need to do on this platform, y'all, is keep my head down. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I do go out of my way to say occasionally the edgy thing, the wrong thing, a weird thing, maybe a seemingly sexist, misogynist thing. But, you know, I want to reach the people who are down to earth enough to know that I'm fucking joking, you know? That know that I'm loving, and it's coming from a place where I really want you to be fine and have a distraction. Not the people that are so easily triggered that are going to take something at, you know, face value and just like be totally basic and superficial and be like, what did he just say? Oh my God, I'm going to freak out about it. Let me caps in the stream. You know what I mean? Like, no. Get the fuck out of here. There's so many Twitch chats that are just for you right now. And that's all I have to say about it. So guys, every one of these lists is utterly for you because I love you. And as we roll up this list of 20 saddest sex worker stories, we arrive at number 13. A husband and wife booked me for a threesome because having a lesbian experience was on her bucket list. She wanted to do that before she died. She'd recently recovered from a double mastectomy and had just been diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor, despite undergoing chemotherapy. In a private, fully clothed moment between the husband and I, he told me she doesn't have long left. And the way they looked at each other was so beautiful. Just pure love. This speaks to me on a fucking insane level, my dude. I've been sitting in a fucking pew in churches in my entire life, and I've never been made to think, you know? You ever ironically hear a story that's just so basic and irrelevant that you go, it really makes you think, but you're being sarcastic because there's nothing to it. There's nothing to the vapid fucking, you know, scenarios that these people consider their lives because they're just mimicking TV shows and movies. But when you hear a story like this, my dude, society views all of this shit as completely and utterly wrong. Paying for sex, that's illegal, you know? Seeking out somebody and what a depraved perversion, you know what I mean? But this is an act shared between two loved ones who want to experience something and share that experience. And they can be open, they can be honest, they can be so clear and so pure in their ability to communicate with one another. That's two things that don't exist in a lot of relationships, and that's why relationships fail. They're not equally mutual. They both don't feel the same way towards one another, and they both can't fucking communicate. Communication is usually a one-way street in some of these relationships. You know what I mean? Not saying it's the man, not saying it's the woman. I'm saying both of them don't talk to each other in a way where they can actually get things said, where they can articulate their thoughts. But look at this, man. This lady is on her way out, and what she wanted to do was experience something with her man. What's wrong with that? You know? But imagine the law rolling in going, no, that's not okay. You know, this weed's gonna make you feel better. Even if you die, it'll make you feel better. It'll take the edge off. Maybe you won't be so anxious. Maybe you won't be in pain. But the law come in and say, no. Society roll in and they're all like, oh, I can't believe that. I turn my nose up at it and scoff. Oh, can you believe these people these days? Because you sticking your nose in business you got nothing to do with. People don't know people's lives, my dude. That's where judging is hard. You can't be so judgmental. This is a little sadder than I wanted it to be, but I find beauty in it. You know? Great Value Bleach says, hey Kyle, do you like Bleach? To which I say, you know, it's not really one of my favorite animes. I'm more of a Bebop guy. And if I'm being honest, as amazing as Bebop is, hide this user from the channel. more about the music. There was a composer behind it, and her name's Yoko Kanno. And I just couldn't get enough. Yoko Kanno made some music for she made music for like Escaflowne. She had music in Wolf's Rain. You know, I don't know where to stop. I don't know where to begin. It was in Ghost in the Shell, Macross Frontier. I'm just speaking gibberish to anybody who's not balls deep in anime. And I'm also turning what was a joke of a question from some idiot with a novelty account into a question about an anime by the same name. But that's the beauty of Kyle, isn't it? Number 12. I used to work the text lines. This was before smartphones. These are a massive scam. Worker logs into a website, it picks up an incoming message, and the screen had a sidebar telling you who you were, name, age, hair, etc., and a box of notes on what was going on. The regulars, they ended up racking up some serious money. This shit was expensive. One client spent over $25,000 texting a girl who didn't exist. We had a few who wanted to meet. We had to tell them some bullshit that we couldn't. Oh boy, another worker didn't do their job right, and because it's really hard to backpedal, I ended up with a client who thought he was going to one day meet a girl who got chewed out by management. No, and got chewed out by management, bro, whatever. The entire thing was just sad when you think about it. Well, people out there getting fucking catfished all day, man. I don't even know what's sadder these days, if I'm being honest. Is a person getting catfished and losing money sadder than a dude that is being taken for a ride by a girl who has no intention to ever, do anything with her? You know what's sad? Look at Twitch. Look at all the girls that got their tits out right now. And they kind of, I want to say, they extend the illusion that maybe some of the guys, some of the lonely, young adults, the young males that roll into their streams will ever consider them the object of their affection. It's obviously not just a Twitch thing. In real life, there are girls who, I want to say, lead a man on, But I mean, it's kind of up to the dudes to know when to stop. There's nothing wrong with trying to get somebody's attention, but when it passes a certain threshold and you're not getting that reciprocation, then where do you go? Somebody in the stream chat asking, do you play Geometry Dash? What is going on? What is going on in the stream chat? Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue up the list of 20 saddest sex worker stories, forgive me, we arrive at number 11. I used to be an exotic dancer. I had an older man in his late 60s who would come in every night that I worked. He'd spend 2 hours in the VIP room with me, where we mostly spoke. I would do 4 or 5 dances during the 2 hours, and as he started spending more time, I started working less because I hated my job. I dropped down to working only 2 nights a week, and I was making over $600 a night off of just him. God damn. Where do I dance so people can hit me with that 600? Hit him with that Streamlabs link. Okay, what the hell? For 2 years, he was my only customer. I never went on stage and only danced for him. And after our time was up in the VIP room, I would go home. He would bring me lots of gifts. Jeez, sad. And it's a living, so they just keep it going. He would bring flowers almost once a week, jewelry quite often. It was sad. What was sad is that I knew he didn't make a lot of money.
Oh no.
He did well for himself only because he worked tons of overtime, and he's funneling it into you, and this is just a job for you. He fell in love with me, and I felt like I was his girlfriend because we spent so much time together talking. He felt like that. He did. He was twice widowed, and a very unattractive man who I knew would probably never find love again at his age. He was not very intelligent, had no real personality, had no interests or hobbies. It made me very sad.
Not sad enough to stop taking his money.
In the beginning, I felt pretty good for giving him something to look forward to. One night, he comes in and tells me he's moving from his 2-story house into a small 1-bedroom apartment. I know he loved that house because he had so many good memories of his wife there, so I asked him why he was moving. He told me he went into foreclosure a year ago. He stopped paying his mortgage because he was giving that money to me. He pretty much lost everything but his truck and some small furniture. I broke inside and started crying. I haven't been back to the club since. I quit dancing that night.
Did you?
Or is that something you say for the sake of a story that you're going to tell so people don't regard you as some manner of monster? Real life don't have happy endings like that. Real life have story endings where a dude that, you know, was an icon and on a show that had Cosby in the name, you know, he comes out years later, talk about how he slipped this something into this girl's drink and, you know, he zip zop zoobity bopped all over her. You know what I mean? He's gonna die in prison, so, you know, whatever. You guys looking for a hot take on that? I just feel that Cosby ain't the only one who was doing exactly that kind of shit to women back in the day. So it's weird that y'all going after. I don't care. I mean, Cosby did do what he did, so he's getting the justice that he deserves. But you know, what about the justice for all the other people? You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. I think the scariest part of that situation is, and this is my honest opinion, and you're free to disagree, but if you don't agree, then you're wrong. The bottom line is this. There are a lot of famous people out there, and there are a lot of entrepreneurial, inspired young women who figure, oh man, I can just get into a situation with this guy and then try to, you know, make it seem like he was violent or he tried to have his way with me so I can get that money. You know what I mean? You know, they're shooting for some sort of settlement. You know what I mean? Pay me and I'll shut up type shit. There are women that are literally, they're not even hiding the fact that they're underage, and they'll go after some of these guys and then be all like, I'm not 18, so you better pay me to keep this quiet. You know what I mean? And, you know, it's funny. Some of these women are a little bit more crazy than I guess society normally expects people to be. And because of that, they get away with the world. And I think if we don't open our eyes to the fact that if we can dream it, it can exist. You know what I mean? Of course, some ladies were probably willing to do any and everything if their goal was to fucking mix it up with a celebrity. Man, I could be with a celebrity, that would make my whole life. What if he rapes you? Girl, that's a small price to pay. What the fuck? And then after, now they could turn it into getting some of that money. You know what I'm talking about? Am I saying that happened in every situation? No. I'm just saying shit happens. Yeah, I don't know. Number 10. Not a sex worker anymore, but I had one gentleman come in and situate himself on the back wall out of the way of the main commotion. He's quiet, bearded, and a lumberjack in his 40s. I saw him watching me and his eyes following me around the place when I got off stage. He shooed off all the other girls who came up to him, and normally it'd be a bit creepy, but he had this very, I'm not sure how to describe it, tired vibe about him. One of the bouncers came and said that the guy was asking for me, so I approached and sat across the table from him, and the other girls had been sitting next to him or even in his lap, and he seemed to really not like that, so I gave him his space. Anyway, I just started making small talk and watched him. I made small talk with him, and it came up that his wife had recently died. He could barely get it out. He was on the verge of bawling. And of course, I reminded him a lot of her, looks and personality-wise. I sat and listened and spoke occasionally. I felt so bad for him, he was clearly broken. Eventually, I gently told him that this place was a cheap and shallow substitute for what sounded like a lovely lady. It wasn't very good a place, and that he should go home because she wouldn't be found here. But of course, he was welcome to see me anytime. He seemed better and agreed with me, and he didn't know what the hell he was doing here. He just missed her so much. He chuckled and said that it was like his wife was speaking to him through me. That she would have told him the exact same thing. He didn't pay me at all for the hour of time that he took with me, but I didn't mind. He's one of the only patrons I've had that I still think about from time to time and wonder/hope he's doing much better now. A lot of guys who come in and just want to talk, no dances, just for the company, but he was by far the saddest. I've always said if you want to be a therapist, but don't want to get a PhD, go into sex work. Half your job is going to be listening to someone vent about their problems. I'm not in sex work, and I sure as hell don't make sex work money, but all people ever do is hit me with their problems. And where are the titties? I'm kidding. Sorry. I just gestured all crazy. And Hannah's near me so she gets to see me being stupid. Ugh. I don't like it when people can see me. Bleh. I should turn off all the lights in this room. I mean, the lights are already off. It's just the stupid glow of the fucking TV. And then she's playing Warframe because she's trying to be me low key. Okay. Hannah is trying to be me. As we roll up to number 9. I had a client who didn't speak much English. Afterwards, we were lying down together and I got out my phone and we had a conversation via Google Translate. He told me that his wife had died 4 months earlier and that this was the first time he felt normal since. Central Texas says, radical. What the fuck? Radical. Kyle and I are one. What are you, Zenyatta now? You know? What the fuck? Maggie East says sex workers, bartenders, and hairstylists always hear it all first. I wonder if sex workers are just busy, you know? They don't get much time. Central Texas says if Kyle didn't have jokes, I'd be crying right now. Why would you be crying, man? What's going on in your life? Is it just a joke of a comment? Is that a deep fried, surreal thing to say? Just sometimes I wake up and I wonder why this isn't the day that I just... Oh, jeez. Number 8, a lot of clients from these stories seem to want therapy. Or a therapist who can cuddle them. I'd be that kind of therapist. How can you even call it therapy if they're not gonna touch ya? You want a touch. Not nasty touch. Like teddy bear touch. Tempted to touch. Number 7. I had a guy that I gave a few lap dances to, and his buddy took him out because he just got divorced. His wife was the one who left him. He was crying, and I tried to give him a pep talk. I need something to drink. I'll get it after. No worries. I tried to give him a pep talk. Most of the time, I was just holding him. I obviously wasn't helping much. A stripper doesn't even come close to replacing your wife of 20 years, especially when you've never been with anybody else. Fuck, I almost cried too. Maggie says they have such things called cuddle parties. I could host one. I ain't hosting shit. People in my house, y'all got me fucked up. Oh my god. Anyway. Number 6. I used to be a sex cam worker. I wonder if there are apps for that. There's supposed to be apps for everything. Wonder if there are apps for ladies that are just I just want someone to cuddle with. And then you go in and there's all this music playing from a music box. I'm talking about that creepy bling, 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 bling. Don't let it make you anxious. I just like the song. Come sit here with me. This is my hairless cat, Snickerdoodle. Snickerdoodle has been a hairless cat in this family for generations. And then the cat meows and it's all like this. Meow. Number 6. I used to work as a sex cam worker. Did I finish that last one? Yes. Number 6. I used to work as a sex cam worker, and I had a regular client who always paid for private time with me. Nothing really did anything what? Maybe never did anything sexual for him? He wanted me to dress as a happy housewife and tell him what would be for dinner. How are the 2 dogs and cat doing? Both were imaginary. What were their names? He would tell me we lived in Italy, and I forgot where, but he described to me a large house with a pool and everything. He pretty much would just fantasy play house with me. I would get really into it, and he would always visit me every day. God, y'all girls know how to make some fucking money, man. God damn. He was just a very lonely man with tons of fucking money, and he seemed to crave some human affection and interaction. I felt bad when I just dropped out of the blue, or dropped out of the job without warning. I do think about him from time to time. I hope he managed to live his best life. What the fuck? These are so bizarre. These are so bizarre. Y'all want to know why I chose that thumbnail?
Sure, Kyle. I'm actually going to talk to you as opposed to talking about like rubber bands and clay figures
in the fucking stream chat. Oh man. When you look over at the stream chat and it's just people talking about, you know, their favorite type of barbecue sauce. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, look, the reason that I chose this thumbnail is because, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the phrase pay pig, but there are some like women, some enterprising women on the internet who consider themselves, you know, a more modern variation of like a dominatrix where she just gets to live her life, but she's going to demand that people pay her, you know? Sometimes, you know, they'll get on a cam and do a show where they're telling the dude to do things and they'll just go along with it. Yes, mistress, you know what I mean? And one I remember seeing where a dude, the girl told the dude to go into the bathroom, get the plunger. And it wasn't like one of those just like an inverted U plungers. It was one where like, you know, there's like an interior portion of the plunger where water can like get into it and then sit in it. You know what I mean? It was one where like it could get up in there.
I do not like where you're going with this.
So, you know, the only time you need a plunger is when you clog that motherfucker up. So, you know, yeah, I like to think that it was probably used and maybe just maybe a little bit of bits and pieces of the fecally making you weak in the knees. Okay. Got inside that plunger. And this woman told him to dunk it in the toily woily and take himself a drink e-wink. Don't forget to like that video, okay? So as we're rolling up to number 5 on this list of 20 saddest sex worker stories, attractive young guy comes in, obviously a college student, paid me the bare minimum, like $40 for a private time, and then tried to talk me into extras way above that pay grade. In particular, he kept talking about how attractive he was and how really I should feel lucky to have a customer like him. What a nice guy. I found it really pathetic. Honestly, this guy could have picked up a girl at a bar for the cost of a couple of beers. The fact that he was paying $40 to get turned down by a sex worker instead was pretty sad. Maybe that's his kink. Somebody said the same thing I said. Oh my God, somebody said the same thing I said. Somebody said the same thing I said. Somebody said, maybe that was his kink. And then somebody else said, and she played right into it. 4D fucking chess, baby. You know, you got, man, y'all don't even know. Oh my God. Prelude says, if you want to be notified via Kyle's Discord. Yeah, to anybody who's coming in here late and saying that you missed the stream chat, I'm sorry. I feel like people who get me things on the wish list should get to decide what the next list is. Because I'm getting a lot of Skype messages. Not Skype, Snapchat messages from people going,
Kyle, how about a list where this
happens? And I'm like, Jesus, shut the fuck up. You know why? Because I've done the list before. And they've been watching the channel for like 3 days. And they think that now it's time for them to decide on a list topic that I've done like a billion times, you know? Oh my God. That's the worst part, you know, is that Reddit itself is just a land of reposts where they post the same questions. Because there are enough people, we get different stories. But I've done it before. I really need to find a new thing to do. But I like how distracting this is. Brianna Blake? I'm not fangirling. Somebody just gave the same thing I said. It was dope. I loved it. River says, Kyle, you should do a stream on sad sex worker stories. She gets it. Yeah, I'm starting to like this girl. She fucking gets it. That's the joke. Oh my God. I think I've actually had that happen. You know? Like, there have been times I've ended a stream and somebody will bust in and be like,
Hey Kyle, just saw this entry on fucking Reddit. You should totally read it.
and then I go, maybe you were busy? But I definitely did, you know? And what I needed to have done, I should have been all like, oh my God, you know what? I totally will do that. You're amazing. And then I send them the link. Or better yet, I make them feel like I have superpowers. Like, oh man, I'm going to step in my time machine and do that right now. You have a what? And then I just throw it in there. Dude, I think Tegan Blake is actually like a little kid, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how they got in here. I don't know what's more disturbing. The fact that, you know, a little kid has found their way into the Kyle stream when this whole channel should not exist. Oh, sweet God.
What?
Dude, this is a little kid. Oh my God. This is a little kid. We gotta block him. We gotta block the... What the fuck? Get out of here. I mean, what the F?
What the F?
What
man?
little... No. Go watch Markiplier. What's going on here?
Fuck out of here.
Oh my God.
You're not welcome.
You know what I'm reading too?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm reading? Oh boy. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Number 4 on the list of 20 saddest when a man and a woman love each other very much worker stories, okay? Number 4. A paraplegic with traumatic brain injury who lay on the bed and just cried, saying he wished he was dead. How he will never find a girlfriend? And that he has lost the will to live. What do you even say to that? Well, at least you could introduce him to a great way to save money by, you know, on his car insurance. By,
Switching to Geico.
you can switch to motherfucking Geico, dude. You know?
Great plan.
Or if he has a structured settlement and he need cash now.
That's probably more like
Oh man. Somebody says that'll be another $100. Damn, that's fucking cold. That's fucking cold. That's fucking cold. Why did somebody say too soon? Do you think that as we roll up this list, we're going to see something that says that'll be another $100? That would make my life, is if we got context. If this whole thread is turned into some sort of episode of BoJack Horseman and we got entry fucking inside jokes. So number 3 reads as follows. I'm a former sex worker. I booked with a middle-aged client and we had a lovely coffee meeting before our date. I learned that his wife had passed away a couple of years ago and he missed human contact, but wasn't quite ready to date anyone, so he booked me. Our date didn't consist of any sexual contact. He just wanted to cuddle in bed with me in our PJs. We talked about his wife. He had nothing but the most beautiful things to say about her. Usually when clients talk about their wives, they're complaining about everything that their wives won't do, calling them bitches, etc. But he was crying and I was crying, and he just talked about true love and how he never thought he would find it, and how he doesn't know how to keep living now that he's lost it. It was truly heartbreaking. I've never really dealt with much death in my life. I've certainly never seen someone grieve in such a way. I didn't know how to comfort him, so I just made tea and listened to him talk for 2 hours. It was strangely beautiful to know that someone can love someone else like he did. I felt so bad for him. And his broken heart. Hopefully he can take those broken wings and learn to fly again, learn to live so free, because when he hear the voices sing, the book of love will open up and let us in. Take these broken wings. You've got to learn to fly, learn to live and love so free, yeah. And then the bridge, it's all like boom, dun, 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 dun. I love it. That's a badass song. Let us in, baby. It's all I know, that you're half of the flesh and blood makes me whole. I need you so. LOA Blue is all like,
Hey, Kyle in chat.
this guy. Look, a response to this says, when I was a child, my mother was a dancer, a private dancer for money. Do what you wanted to do. As an adult, I knew that she did more than dancing. And when I was 10, my mom told me that she needed to bring my brother, who was 2 at the time, and I to work with her a couple of hours. It was a few days before Christmas, and we drove to the super ritzy neighborhood, gated community, and my mom told me that we were going to help someone, and that even though it seemed weird, she wanted me to call the man we were going to meet Grandpa. Oh no. Oh no. How much must she have been paid to to force her kids into this man's fantasy? When we went inside, the guy greeted us. It was probably around 65 to 70. He had the most beautiful Christmas tree set up, loaded with presents, and we were not super well off financially, so it was way more than I usually saw. The guy was super kind. He gave my mom a kiss on the cheek and told her that he was happy to see that we had all made it. My mom said, "We missed you, Dad. We are happy to be home for Christmas with you." It felt weird, but I called him Grandpa like my mom asked, and he told us that all the gifts were for my brother and I. We spent a few hours eating dinner with him and opening all the gifts with him while him and my mom talked, and then we went home. My mom told me on the way home that his family hasn't been around for a long time, and he just wanted to feel like he wasn't alone for Christmas. Someone said, "This made me cry." Jeez. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you. Here's hoping you're all having an interesting evening or day. Like the video. Makes me feel good. Plus there's a surprise in it for you. Number 2. Not my story, but I knew a girl who was a rent-a-night sort of deal. Guy asks her if she'd come over. Doesn't talk about sex over the phone, just if she could come over and to be hungry when she did. She thinks he is into feeding or some shit. She arrives at 6 p.m. Pretty early for her work. She asks what he would like to do. He just cooks for her. A big, delicious meal, and later he starts to open up about his wife having passed away and always loving his cooking, but he hates cooking for himself. Oh, bing bong, baby. Bing-a-ling bong. We approached like 60 likes. If we did, then I'll read the other one, because I don't know about nuking the other, like making a list tomorrow of the same variety. But number 1 on this list reads, I used to visit a disabled client a while back, kinda young guy, late 20s, wheelchair bound. I had a whole gamer thing going on because I love video games, so I'd offer to play games with clients, have some naughty penalties if you lose, that sort of fun stuff. Clients could bring their own games, or I had a list. I got a message from this guy, and he wanted to play games and explained that he wanted to come over because he can't come to me, or that he wanted me to come over because he can't come to me. Happy to pay the outcall rates and so on. So I visit and we play some games. He wasn't really interested in sexy extras to it, but we did have some fun in the end. He mostly wanted to play games and talk and cuddle, etc. It continued like that each time. I'd come over, we'd watch a movie or play some games, and maybe do some stuff, but not always. He told me that he's lonely, and he has never had any experience with girls before, and most friends that he had abandoned him because of his disability getting worse, and him becoming less active. Now, forgive me, I feel like I should adjust the volume of the music. Now, the only friends that he has are in his online games. I saw him regularly for a year and a half, and his mother was always aware that he was seeing me, and she was very kind. She'd go out when I was there and offer to bring snacks and drinks. She knew what I was, but felt like I made him happy, so it didn't bother her. One day I stopped hearing from him. He was a regular client for over a year, so I wondered what had happened. Some guys get bored and find a new girl, but in this case, it just seemed out of character. I went to his house just to see how he was, and his mom told me that he had an aneurysm and passed away a week later in the hospital. It was one of the most saddest experiences of my life. He was a client, but I got to know him intimately over the time, and he became like a close friend. I got invited to the funeral, and I accepted, and it was much less awkward than you might think. Everyone was really kind to me, non-judgmental, despite hearing that what I was to him. You know, of course they wouldn't be, because they know the value of a loved one having an easier time, easing the stress and the pain and the burden of what life can be as they transition, my dude. You know, it's easy to judge and jump on a fucking bandwagon when society says one thing, when the law says another thing. But when someone you love is in pain and is dying, and something that, you know, honest to God, does not harm people can be done for them, you know, holy shit. Who the fuck is the law or society to decide, nah. Oh shit. Holy crap. Holy crap. Well, this is over. Guys, I love you. And, I'll catch you guys soon. I hope you guys had a wonderful night or a wonderful morning. And that things only get better and better. Stay safe. You'll hear from me soon. Thank you to all of you for being here. Special thanks to my sponsors, as well as my patrons. And thanks to River for the donation. Thanks to Texas for their donation. Thanks to Sigan for her donation. And thank you to Jazzy Pen. Thank you for being amazing. And I'll see you guys soon. Stay safe and stay out of trouble. Night.